Good morning. I hope everyone's doing well, and thank you if you're watching the replay of this. I know that as a busy mom, you have lots and lots of responsibilities and lots of things going on, and so catching some of these classes live can be really hard. So thank you for taking the time to watch this, whether you're watching live or you're watching the replay. I'm going to show you where I'm teaching this class from. This is my view right now. This is the second time that I have taught a class on the shore of this little lake. And the reason is because where we're camped out right now doesn't have super great signal, but if you look on that hill over to the left, there's a tower that gives me slightly better signal. So that's the reason I am out here. Hi! All right, so I'm going to turn the camera back around, and if anyone is having signal difficulty, it could be just because I don't have super great signal, but the replay is always clearer because Facebook stitches the video together. So let's go ahead and get started. My name is Kirsten McCormick, and I have been running my home business since April 1st of 2014, and since then I have reached the top 0.1% of my company, and I have retired my husband, and we now travel full-time in a school bus that's been converted to an RV. And right now I am in Crow's Nest Pass in Alberta, Canada, and so hence the beautiful view and the possibly staticky signal. So please feel free to share this video and invite anyone on who is a mom and either considering having a home business, or who is struggling with their home business, or who's just a mom. My situation is that I have 5 kids. I homeschool them. They range in age from 14 months, so just a little guy who's just not even walking fully yet, to 13. And they are of all different personalities and temperaments. And so I feel you. I know what it's like, and I have dealt with every struggle in the book. So I'm going to go over some of the common questions and common issues that I have when I'm coaching my team members, and ones that I've dealt with, and going to share with you some of my perspective. So as I titled this video, your children are either going to be your reason for doing your business and being an entrepreneur and making your life better and living out a dream, or they will be your excuse that keeps you from doing what you want to do. And really, it can fuel you either direction, because when we have challenges in our life, and children are a challenge. They're a wonderful challenge. They bring so much joy, but they're a challenge because when you have kids, you may not always get the sleep you want. You may not get the peace and quiet you need. You may not be able to focus. And so it's a challenge. But every challenge either spurs you to action or holds you back. And it's really all in your attitude and your response. So let's talk about urgent versus important. Every day there's things that require our attention and things that we need to do. And things we need to do versus things we want to do fall into 2 categories. Urgent things. Urgent things are things like poopy diaper, making sure people are fed, flat tires, late bills, things like that, versus important things. And there's important things that are also urgent. Those things are can cross. But there's also important things that aren't urgent, like exercising, eating healthy, taking time to do some kind of devotions or meditation, taking your supplements. A lot of things that fall into the self-care category, budgeting. A lot of those things are very important, because if you don't do them over the long term, then it will lead to urgent later on. But because they're not urgent today, we don't do them. And so I think as moms, a lot of times we fall into the trap of, okay, well, I'll get around to those important things once I get the urgent things out of the way. But the catch is that if you don't do those important things now, it will become urgent, and you'll get trapped in a cycle of dealing with urgent, putting out fires all the time if you don't get ahead of them. And that's no way to live, let alone run a business. So to help you put it in perspective each day, even if you can't put in what you would consider work hours on your business, I want you to, first thing in the morning when you're either drinking your coffee or putting on your makeup, or if you have time and you have scheduled in some kind of alone time, morning devotions or meditation, I want you to write down one thing that if you accomplish that today, you would be happy with what you got done. Okay? And some people do this, they list one personal thing and one business thing. And I want you to write that somewhere, and then I want you to hang it up where you can see it and be reminded throughout the day. That way, if you don't have time to sit and do 4 hours worth of work, or you don't have time to catch up on a whole to-do list, you'll do the one thing. Because here's what I see happening. People are like, okay, well, I'm gonna sit down and work as soon as I catch up on the laundry, feed the kids, do the dishes, sweep the floor, pay the bills. Well, guess what? That list never ends. And as soon as, I don't know about you, but as soon as I finish the breakfast dishes, my kids want me to make them a snack. As soon as I fold one batch of laundry, it's time to throw another one in. Those things never end. And so if you pause the important things until those things are done, your kids are gonna like graduate from college before you ever do something that's important. Okay? So you need to put a pause button on those urgent things that have to be done every day. Put a pause and do one important thing. And that one important thing might be following up with a prospect. It might be getting a part of your class on the schedule. It might be going to visit your chiropractor and making a presentation. It might be, I don't know, whatever it is in your business. But do one thing that at the end of the day you can be like, check, I got that one thing done. And sometimes you're lucky and you get on a roll and you're able to, you do that one thing and you're like, whew, well, the kids are still kind of distracted playing in the backyard or with their Legos or whatever. I can check off 2 or 3 more things. Great. If that happens, wonderful. But don't hold yourself to the standard where you have to get all the things done, because we often will wait until we have a chunk of time for all the things instead of doing the one thing. So put that one thing on your list. The other thing is that when you're with your kids, you'll think of other things that you need to do. And if you don't capture those thoughts when they're occurring, then then they're gone forever. For me, I have ideas and thoughts like bubbles, and if I don't capture them, they're like, and they fall and they go away. So I have an ongoing list either on my fridge or on my counter, or I have my calendar open. And when I think of ideas, when I'm with my kids and it's not work time and I don't want to get distracted and take attention away from my kids, I have a list going so that when I think of something like, ooh, I told so-and-so I'd call them back, I write that thing down. So that when I do have some dedicated work time, say the kids go down for a nap and I've got 30 minutes all to myself, which is like a miracle, then I can, instead of being like, and just go into like mommy zone out, I can be like, okay, what did I need to get done again? And I have my list there, and it helps me be way more productive in those short chunks of time that I do have. Okay, and then I kind of alluded to this, but the next thing is very important. You need to be present and dedicated. Oh, there's a bird over there. You need to be present and dedicated to whatever actions you're taking. So when you're with your kids, if you're on your phone or your computer the whole time and trying to multitask, you're not going to be a very present mom, and they're going to sense that, and they are going to push all of your buttons and make you uptight, and you're also not going to be very efficient at your business. So whatever you're doing, you need to be present, which means that you need to be intentional and decide when in advance when you are going to schedule your work time. And sometimes you get a surprise moment. Great, that's great. If their kids are distracted and busy and doing something, you get a moment. But it might look like from when you get up until, if you're a homeschooling mom, maybe from when you get up until noon is time that you're dedicated with the kids, and then after lunch you give yourself an hour while they're taking a nap or reading. Or if you work full time, it might be that you need to schedule your time for the hour after they go to bed or an hour before they get up. How you do that is up to you, and if you are determined to do it, you will find small chunks of time. But what I'm saying is that don't try to do that on top of your kids. Don't try to do that while your kids are tugging on your ankles, because if you're trying to organize things and text people back and you're yelling at your kids and you're like trying to text a prospect at the same time, the annoyance that you're having towards your kids is going to come through. That annoyed energy is going to come through to your prospect, and you don't want it be that way. You want to be in an attractive, positive space when you're talking to people. So it's important to have dedicated time for your kids and then for your work. And so let's talk about where we can squeeze those pockets of time. Some of you are lucky enough that you have regular childcare, and if you do, awesome, take advantage of it. Use it, even if that's that you pawn your kids off on your mom or your sister, one afternoon a week. Save up the things you can't do with your kids around for those times. Some of you are not lucky enough to have childcare that is available and affordable, and that's okay too, because you can still build your business without doing that. So you have to be a little bit more intentional though, and you have to plan it out more. So for instance, depending on the ages of your kids, they may or may not nap. They may or may not get up later than you or go to bed earlier than you. And if they do any of those things, or if they don't do any of those things, you might have to adjust your schedule to give you the time that you need. If any of you have ever read the book Miracle Morning, I can't recommend that highly enough, because it really puts a perspective on how you can start your day with focus and clarity and intention, how much more successful that day and every other day will be. So I highly recommend that if you're having a hard time finding time for things. That is a very short read that will really help you get a handle on that. But you can carve out time while your kids are sleeping or studying or working, or even I know that I've in the past had a special toy or activity box that's just for mommy's work time. So something special that they get to play with, whether it's, paper dolls or special arts and crafts or something that they don't need my help with, that only comes out. And it can't come out like every day, but like twice a week when you really need to return phone calls or when you really need to do something. It's that special activity box that they can look forward to, and it doesn't get played with any other time. Otherwise it loses its appeal, because we all know that toys aren't special when you get to play with them every day. Doesn't matter how much they cost. So that's another option. Another thing that you can do is, I guarantee that if you need some kid-free time, you know someone else who needs kid-free time. And there is another mama in your community somewhere who would love to swap one afternoon or one morning a week and watch your kids, so that you can do the same thing and watch her kids. And you may not know that person right now, but if you get out and put some feelers out and do some networking, you will find someone else who is in the same boat as you. They may or may not have their own business, but every mama needs a break from her kids sometimes. So put some feelers out, and you may find more than one. You may find that you can, by giving up 2 mornings or afternoons a week of your time to play with someone else's kids, that you can get a couple of mornings or afternoons, vice versa. And this is nice for the kids too, because they end up making friends, and you end up, by helping each other, you end up networking and building those bonds of friendship by helping each other. So the child swap is one that I have used a lot in the past for myself. My kids love it, and that's been really good for my business. So another thing too is, there's a lot of things you can do with kids. So you may not be able to get your computer work done or returning phone calls or whatever with kids, but you can definitely be networking and building relationships, because I don't care what business you're in. I don't care if you are in network marketing, direct sales, whether you have an Etsy shop and you sell stuff online, whether you do coaching or photography or whatever your business is, you need to be networking and building relationships, because we are all in the business of people. And so when you have your kids with you, you can be doing play dates at the park. You can be meeting up with a mom friend to have a coffee at McDonald's while your kids play. You can be, you can meet people when you're out at the park or at the McDonald's Playland or the Children's Museum. Like, use those opportunities with your kids to, it's an icebreaker. If you're at the park and you see another mom that has a kid the same age as your child and your kids start playing together, you're way more likely to want to be able to feel natural starting conversation with that person than just some random stranger where there's nothing in common. By being a mom and having kids the same age, you already have something in common, and you can break the ice, and you can be like, oh, how old is he? Oh, they're playing so well together. You can use your communication skills to build a relationship. And guys, moms, and you know this, moms are lonely. Not every moment of every day, obviously, we get all kidded out, but we are hungry for adult conversation. We are hungry for community. We're hungry for tribe and relationships. And if you are intentional about reaching out and finding other moms who are lonely and craving relationship, community, and tribe, and you start to create that, having people over for play dates, going out, doing things with your kids, you start to build that community and tribe, you will be like a magnet to other moms. You will be so attractive. About a year and a half ago, when I was living in Arlington, I did a challenge for myself, and it was a hospitality challenge where I swore to myself, I was like, I'm going to invite people over whether I've cleaned my house or not. And I would tell people, I would meet them and I would say, hey, you should come over for coffee sometime. And I said, but I'm not going to clean my house for you because I want to be really good friends, and I wouldn't clean my house for you if you were a good friend. So we're going to just start this relationship off with a little bit of honesty and authenticity. Like, this is the real me. And it took a huge, me eating a lot of humble pie, because people would come over and they would see like my couch with crumpled up cookies and crackers, and there's raisins on the floor, and like tumbleweeds of my dog's fur, during the springtime when she was shedding out her winter coat. But you know what? I made some of the best friends doing that and just being real. And then moms, these friends would say, you know what? I never had people over, and because I was too nervous and scared, thank you for being real. And some of my best friendships and best business partners have come out of that authenticity and just being willing to be real and just saying, hey, we're gonna be friends, so let's not clean house for each other. Let's just let the kids crunch up the Cheerios on the floor while we drink coffee and let things go crazy and just connect for a little bit. So, networking. The last thing that I want to cover is the importance of using your work time for income producing activities and finding other times for your self-development, learning, ongoing education stuff. So when you do have those slices of time to work on your work, whether that's while your kids are napping or you have a babysitter one day a week or whatever, use that for your income producing activities. And there's basically only 3 things that fall into that category. It's either working with your prospects and potential members, customers, whatever. The second thing is educating, caring for, and supporting your current members, customers, whatever you call them. And then raising up leaders, training your leaders, builders, staff, whatever it is that you call them in your organization. So those 3 things are the things that make you money. And classes and parties fall into that, follow-up falls into that. But basically it's like a garden. You're either planting seeds, watering seeds, or harvesting. Those are the things that are income producing activities. Reading, planning, education, motivational stuff, that is not income producing activities. It's important, but you do not use your kid-free time to do those things. This is where you put that self-development stuff. You put that self-development stuff on audio, and you listen to audiobooks and podcasts while you're doing laundry, while you're doing dishes, while you're cleaning your house, because those things have to be done anyway. Turn your car into a university, and you can be listening in your car. If you have unlimited or a lot of data, you can stream things, but if you don't, there's a lot of things that you can just download to your phone and then listen to it through your car speakers, or just do what I do and put it in my cup holder and listen. And if you're the kind of person that needs to read a physical copy of the book, then have those books sitting on the back of your toilet, by your nightstand, by where you make your coffee in the morning, so that it's there. But I strongly recommend, if you haven't ventured into the world of audio, that is the best way that you can multitask your time. And then you're constantly getting fresh inspiration and motivation. I'm going to share with you some of my favorite business building audios that I use. Specific to Young Living, if you're in a Young Living business, there's a group called 12 Days of Diamonds where the diamonds share their stories. Amazing, inspirational, awesome stuff. I can get you added to that if you want. Then also the Game Plan book is on Audible, and you can listen to the Game Plan things. The other thing, there's a couple of other audiobooks that are not specific to Young Living that will be for anyone in any business. GoPro by Eric Worre. Start with Why by Simon Sinek. I love those. And then there's some podcasts that I really love. I love The Hero Calls by Richard Lissbrook. I love Boss Up by Lindsay Teague Marino, and that's specific to mompreneurs. Then Story Brand, which is wonderful for any kind of business doing for marketing and branding. If you don't have Audible, I highly recommend it because you can subscribe to it and get a couple of free books a month, and it's a lot of times read by the authors of the books. It's really, really good. So if you have any questions, feel free to share this with anyone in your network or on your team. If you have questions specific to this, I will go back and answer them in text format. I hope you ladies have a beautiful, beautiful day. I hope that you are able to pursue your business with focus and intention, and to know that it is possible and it's really, truly up to you. And I will leave you with my beautiful view this morning. A lovely day.